Hey there, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading for the middle of December 2024. You have this All That Glitters card and this Treasure Island card. This All That Glitters card, you can see it's like there's this gold with these two masks on it, and it can say that something is not what you expect or something is not what it appears to be. And the Treasure Island card can represent as above, so below. So, this can say that you are trying to manifest something in your life or have manifested something in your life, and maybe it wasn't exactly what you thought it was going to be. I don't know. I think that in life this happens all the time where we think we want something and then we get it and we realize that we don't really want it. So, again, I don't know what that would be for you, but again, it could be something where you thought you wanted something and then found out that you didn't really want it. And that's kind of the energy that I get there. You start with the Sun, which is the best card in the deck, of course. So the Sun says that you could be entering into a time of happiness or peace. The sun shines its light on things that are important for you to pay attention to as well. And so we need to pay attention to our attention with the sun. And the sun could be shining its light on anything. So again, if your attention is being drawn to something, like if you just are thinking about something throughout the day, or if you're having like sign symbols, synchronicities, I would pay attention to those things because it could be the sun basically that is shining its light in your life, and I would definitely pay attention to that. You do have the Tower as your crossing energy. The crossing energy can be what hurts you or helps you in a Celtic cross. And so the Tower can definitely say, I definitely feel Sagittarius has been through Tower moments. We've been talking about it like all year. So I don't know. I think you've had your fair share of Tower moments over the year. And it could be hard to get into this optimistic place with the sun, especially if you've been through these Tower moments or difficulties and things like that. The trick with the Tower is that we have to, accept reality. The Tower brings us down to reality, and that's the whole point of the Tower, is that these people have been ignoring reality and now they're being brought down to reality so they can see things for how they actually are. So we have to kind of like accept the truth. And the sun, they say the sun is the best disinfectant, right? So the sun also brings truth into our life. And I definitely feel that, this combination, while the sun is kind of good and it kind of buffers the Tower, I still feel that there have been some like uncomfortable truths, or there have been some things that you've had to accept this year. And I think that you are just like hoping to move on to bigger and better things. You have the Knight of Cups in the area of your thoughts. Knight of Cups can be a Knight in Shining Armor, not really a love reading. So the Knight of Cups can really be your dream or something that you're thinking about creating. He is very imaginative, and he has this water flowing in front of him, even though he is standing in the desert. And so the Knight of Cups can really represent taking those first steps to get something started, even if you don't think you have the resources necessary to get started. So if you're thinking about like starting a project, a business, could be anything really, then the Knight of Cups is encouraging those first steps towards your dream, or towards something that you're imagining doing with your life, even if you don't think you have the resources. The Knight of Cups basically says we have to do what we can with what we got right now. And that's definitely what I would do with the Knight of Cups. You also have the Knight of Wands in your foundation. Kind of lame, because I just feel like you're feeling more like yourself is what the Knight of Wands is saying. He's very adventurous and very spontaneous. Of course, Mercury is moving direct today. Today is the 15th of December. This video will be published on the 16th. So obviously, Mercury is direct by the time you're watching this video. And I think you could just be feeling more like yourself, like you can be more spontaneous. I think you are also maybe opening up to new options as well, because we go up to the King of Pentacles to the Six of Swords. King of Pentacles basically represents what has always been. King of Pentacles is the card of convention, the way things have always been done. Six of Swords would say that you are moving away from convention. You are maybe more willing to try new things, or maybe you're being more flexible, or maybe you're willing to be more spontaneous. And I think all of those energies would be great with the Knight of Wands, because that's what the Knight of Wands wants us to do. So there you go. Next, in the area of your past, you have this Meant to Be card and this Abundance card. So the past position can be what you are moving past. These are pretty good cards. And so, I think that, I don't necessarily think you're like moving past abundance. And as a matter of fact, you have the King of Pentacles in the very near future, which is abundance. But, for a lot of you, I feel that with the Ten of Cups here, that this could be saying that you thought something was meant to be. Like, I get the feeling for a job, and again, we've been talking about this for months, where some of you maybe lost a job or got laid off or something like that. I definitely feel that for a lot of you. I'm not saying it's true for all of you, but, I think for some of you, it's like you had a dream job maybe, or you had something that you thought was really good and it didn't work out, is kind of the feeling I get here. Now, I also think that the Ten of Cups is kind of like a little bit of a solution here because we have the Tower with the Sun. So this right here would kind of represent needing to look on the bright side, as hard as it is, and needing to start chasing positivity. And it's not like you're chasing it, but, I would start moving towards things that make you feel better, that make you feel more positive, and, make you feel more happy. And that's what I would do if I were Sagittarius. Next, in the area of the very near future, you have this card that says, take the lead. It says, don't wait for others to light the way. Yes, you are lighting your own way with the sun. The sun is shining on you in this reading. So you are definitely lighting the way. It says, it's your time to step up and take the lead. Yes, you have this koi fish spirit. It says you're manifesting more love, prosperity, and wealth into your life. Yes, this is probably why you need to be more positive at this time, is because, again, the only way we can manifest is to focus on the good stuff. So I would start, working on focusing more on, the positive side of things, the good side of things, start moving toward, creating more positivity in your life. I think all that would be very helpful for you. You have the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles can be a card of wealth, and he has these grapes on his cloak. And so the grapes in the tarot represent having a specific skill. The grapes are considered something that's very difficult to grow, but he can grow them well. And so I think you have a skill that you can do well. And, again, I think you could be looking at how you can use your skills to increase your wealth. And, obviously if you got laid off or if you're one of those Sagittariuses that lost their job, you could be looking for something new to be able to use your skills. And I would definitely do that. I would also be exploring new ideas with the King of Pentacles because, again, the King of Pentacles, he's not a bad card, but he can be a little bit stubborn to change, or he can be a little bit stuck in the old ways of doing things when there are clearly new ways to do things. And so I would just be willing to innovate, try new ideas, try new directions, explore your career or explore different ways of making money because you never know what you might discover with the King of Pentacles. Next, in your outcome row, yes, you have this card that says, believe in the impossible. Even if you think it's impossible and your life is never going to improve, I think you need to believe that it can. You have this card that says, nothing will come of this situation. Yes, so maybe you've had a tower moment and you're worried, but I think this is saying there's no reason to worry about something that's already happened, and I think it's time to start focusing on the big picture. Even over the next few months, you have the High Priestess, so of course trust your intuition, but the High Priestess attracts things through visualization. She has these 3 stages of the moon on her crown here, and it represents the fact that she sees the beginning, middle, and end of everything she enters into before she enters into it, but not necessarily intuitively. She is visualizing how she wants things to go before she starts something. So I think visualizing how you want something to turn out would be a good idea. This card also says, believe in the impossible. The High Priestess is all about potential. So she is actually the card of unlimited potential. She has no roof over her head here, and it kind of represents the fact that there are no limits to what she can accomplish. The only limit is like her mindset or what she thinks she can do. So I think that a lot of you definitely need to be dreaming big here. You also have the Knight of Cups as well, which again, the Knight of Cups says it's time to dream big. It's time to really go for something, bigger than yourself or something that's difficult or hard, mostly because you can do it, Sagittarius, and that's exactly why I would do it with that card. Next, in your closest relationships, you have the Four of Swords. Again, all year we've talked about how some of you maybe have had challenges or issues with people in your life. And so a lot of you have probably had to either heal connections, or you've had to heal yourself and realize that those connections don't kind of make up who you are. I think I said to you months ago, just based off your astrology, it wouldn't surprise me to find out that, you maybe allowed someone from the past. I'm not even talking about love here. It could be a family member, like a brother or sister, an aunt, an uncle, a father, whatever. It's it wouldn't surprise me if you allowed someone who was close to you back into your life only to have them disappoint you again. That is a very much like what your astrology said this year. And, so there you go. I think that maybe you dealt with that. But, I think turning this into something positive, I think you realize that, these people are not who you are. And the Four of Swords is all about like healing through those feelings and realizing that you are your own person. The Four of Swords would also be about realizing that you are in control of your own blessings. There's a person here who is blessing this other person in the stained glass window. So he is hoping and praying for a blessing. But he kind of he has rested, he has healed to a certain point, and it might be time for him to kind of go and get his blessings, as in he needs to create them himself. And I kind of get that energy for you here, Sag, where it's like saying, it's time to create those blessings that you're hoping for. Next, in the area of your future feelings, you have the Six of Swords. Again, pretty good, because again, I don't think things have been easy for Sagittarius this year. And, the Six of Swords would be moving on to calmer shores. So I think a lot of you could be moving on to bigger and better things, or you could just be moving on to calmer shores in general with the Six of Swords. Some of you, again, if you have lost a job, the Six of Swords sometimes can feel like starting over. This woman and this child in the boat, they have nothing on them but the clothing on their back. The story of this card is they are completely starting over. They are leaving everything on the other side behind for the hopes of a brighter future. So they are trusting that this guide back here, this guy in the back of the boat, he represents their guide or a guide, and he is guiding them across the choppy waters. They are hoping that the other side is going to be better. They have these swords in the front of the boat, which kind of represents like the lessons, the things that they learned, the spiritual lessons, their intuitions, and all that other stuff. So they're not completely empty-handed. They are not completely starting over from scratch. They are starting from a place of knowledge and wisdom. So if you are, if you feel like you're starting over, really you're not. You're starting from, a place of knowledge and wisdom. But again, still a good card because it says improvements. Your outcome is the King of Wands. We could say that the King of Wands is you. I read King of Wands as Aries. You can read them for, as whatever you want. I don't care. But, I'm going to say that this is you in this reading, showing up in a very strong position. He's very bold, confident, assertive. He really goes for what he wants. And I think that would be a great energy for you to embrace. Again, you have this card that says believe in the impossible. So clearly it's time for you to like do something harder in your life, or it's time for you to like really go after that big goal, wish, or dream. And the King of Wands, he's very confident. So he should be giving you confidence that you can, accomplish whatever you set your mind to. And I think that's what you need to realize here, Sagittarius. I almost just called you Aries, but there you go. With the Sun in the Tower, you have the Six of Pentacles. We have two cards here planting seeds. The Knight of Cups, he needs to plant seeds in front of that water, and then those seeds will grow. He's standing in the desert, so he is in a position where he is thinking that nothing can grow. But if he looks at the water, he will realize that things can grow. And I think this is very much what the next couple of years are going to be about, and definitely 2024 was all about this as well, is that we're all in a position where it looks like the thing that we want to create, or what we want our life to look like, is impossible. But if we look closer, there might actually be an opportunity for us to create the life we desire. And I feel like that's what you need to do here with the Six of Pentacles. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is a card of quick success, or like a quick conclusion. And so I think for a lot of you that if you take those first few steps, things will happen fast for you. That the Knight of Cups, we just have to plant those seeds. But, kind of like getting the confidence to start planting those seeds is maybe the challenge with the Knight of Cups. But the Eight of Wands is a card of quick success. So again, if you get started, your seeds will grow quickly. With the Knight of Wands, you have the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is a card of freedom. And so, really the thing with the Four of Wands is that the Four of Wands asks us to set ourselves free. And usually, yes, it's a card of marriage, but I wouldn't really call this a love reading. I think that the Four of Wands, there's like this finish line right here. And so we have to, usually the Four of Wands comes up. What I'm trying to spit out here, Sagittarius, is usually we have to finish one thing. We have to cross through the portal there in the middle of the card and celebrate on the other side. So again, a lot of you could be kind of like stepping through this portal, or you could be wrapping something up from the past, or you could be closing out part of your story. And, the King of Pentacles is definitely a card of changing your story. The King of Pentacles, again, is not a bad card, but he has been living the same story over and over and over again for a long period of time. And so the King of Pentacles, like I said, it's a good card, but if he were to change his story, it would be better, right? And I think that's what this reading is getting at. With the Ten of Cups, you have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, there could be something here about you releasing, a past connection or old love. Some of you just could have trouble in love just in general. I do feel like you're kind of fixing that, but at the same time, I really feel that you're kind of like focusing on your own blessings with the Four of Swords, which again, not a bad thing at all. Like I think that, it would be perfectly fine for you to go through the rest of this year, go through the first couple months of next year just alone. Not that you'll be lonely, but kind of like focusing on creating your own blessings, right? With the King of Pentacles, you have the Five of Swords. Five of Swords can be like conflict or walking away from things that no longer serve you, or can represent a separation. So like I have been saying, I think that some of you have had a separation in work or in business. And, really the Five of Swords, the solution to the Five of Swords is that we have to take a risk. In this case, I think that you have to take a risk on something new, or you have to take a risk to create something new out of your life with the Five of Swords. He's been through these 3 stages. There is a theory that all 3 of these people here are the same person, even though the hair is different. The first 2 guys have darker hair. He has lighter hair. But, bear with me. There's a theory that, he has learned how to walk away from battle. In the first stage, he's like crying. His head is in his hands. He's just disappointed. In the second stage, he's learned how to walk away. And then in the last stage, he has learned how to win. And I get a little bit of a feeling here that the reading is saying, like, don't give up on what you're trying to create, even if you have lost, 2 or 3 times, because you are about to win. And I think you need to realize that here, Sag. With the High Priestess, you have the Nine of Pentacles. Like I said, I think that you're in a more independent position. The Nine of Pentacles is all about independence. And like I said, I think this would be good for you. She also has grapes behind her cloak. And again, her grapes are what provides her with this abundance that she is experiencing. So I think a lot of you, your readings over the past few months have definitely been about your skills and developing a skill. And, I think you need to continue developing a skill that maybe is hard for other people, but is good for you, or that you are good at, because that skill could lead to a lot of abundance. So if you're like learning something new, if you're getting a certification, any of that stuff, I would keep learning because, again, I think you're growing. With the Four of Swords, you have the Death card. We already talked about it. Like, literally the king. It's funny that I said father, because the king is dead underneath the Death Rider. And this can say that there has been a death of establishment. Again, Pluto going over the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius, which it did in November, is definitely an energy of the death of establishment. That cusp represents some sort of establishment. Something that has been established in your life is leaving. And so I think you've definitely experienced that over the past few years. And again, this could have happened before November, like I said, past few years, where something disappointed you or underwent a transformation. The Death card is pretty good because the sun is coming up between the 2 pillars that are normally on the moon card here, and it kind of says you're entering into a period of the sun. I also think that you are gaining in confidence. It's almost like you no longer need people. I don't think that's true. I think we always need people, but again, like I said, I think for the most part, you are developing your own independence. With the Six of Swords, you have the High Priest, what I was going to say, the Hierophant, which is the High Priest. And, this is a card of spiritual learning and education. It's also a card of, like, bringing heaven down to earth. The Nine of Pentacles is heaven on earth. The High Priest, the Hierophant, he is able to communicate with both sides. So he is able to translate a vision from heaven down on earth. And some of you, maybe that's what you are doing here, is like you're trying to take your dream or, whatever your vision is and bringing it down to earth, which I think would be a great thing for you to do. With the King of Wands, I knew this was going to happen. You have the King of Wands, basically the universe saying I meant what I said. So, I think that ultimately you are showing up in a position of confidence and boldness and assertiveness and success. So, again, I think those are the energies that you should focus on. You have the Sun in Sagittarius, which is enthusiasm in this deck. This is the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, by the way. And, again, I think that following your enthusiasm is good. It's funny that at the beginning of the reading, I said that it's almost like you are getting back to who you really are, or you're feeling more like yourself with that Knight of Wands. And, again, with that card would make a lot of sense. Next, you have this friendship card. Yeah, don't ignore your friends. I always say, like, just, first off, I get tons of comments of people who love to tell me how independent they are. I can tell you right now, those people are not independent. The people that have to scream and yell and squawk about it are probably not independent, right? Number one. Number two, just because reading says you're independent doesn't mean you're alone. So, like I said, I think if you need to socialize, if you need a shoulder to cry on or whatever, I think there are plenty of people in your life that you could tap into that would be very helpful for you. So again, don't ignore your friends just because you're in this more withdrawn time. You have this discrimination card. Yeah, this card says you can now tell the difference between what's right and what's wrong for you. And so I would just pay attention to how you feel about things, because it's probably right. You have this status card. Again, not really love reading, but you do have the Hierophant and the High Priestess. It's funny that I said the High Priest. In some decks, the Hierophant is the High Priest, not the Hierophant, right? And so those two can definitely represent divine counterparts. And there could be love coming in for some of you. You do have the Knight of Cups, which says that you might have your eye on a person. You have the Eight of Wands, which could be communication. So, again, there could be love for some of you. You have this isolation card. Again, just because a reading says that you are isolated doesn't mean you have to stay isolated. So, I think that getting out of isolation, even if, maybe 90% of the time you are in isolation, I would say 10% of the time, get out there, go do something, hang out with friends. Yeah, you don't have to stay in isolation. Even though, like I said, for the most part, I think with that Four of Swords that you are working on creating blessings. So, is it really that bad of a thing? No, but, I will say that, being in isolation isn't always good either. So I would balance those two things out. But pretty interesting here, Sag. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your month.